is Cameron Pratt, and I am studying chemistry here at Hope, and I'm also a senior, so this is my last year. Everything's on the line, big, veteran, very grizzled. I guess I'm not sure if I should confess this or not, but I was like Googling like, why does comedy matter? And like some of the funny things that I saw was like, people were saying, you know, it's the young people talking to the old people, and so comedy is kind of the intersection of these two different, like, I don't know, ways to think about things and how certain scenarios become funny when seen from the light of a different generation. Comedy is just a place to kind of come and relax and be with people next to you or whatever and have fun laughing. Someone said, you know, if you can laugh with someone, you know they're not going to kill you or something. So and that's a really extreme case, but it's true. If you're next to somebody who's laughing, you know, there's a part of you that knows the person who's next to me is human, and so, I don't know, you find that human nature in people.
My name is Abby LaBarge. I'm a senior at Hope, and I'm a secondary English education major. VanderProv has really helped me become myself, or at least find who I was. I think comedy is great, but a lot of people involved in comedy are kind of sad people, which isn't touched on a lot. And maybe it shouldn't be, maybe it should be. It's open to interpretation, I guess. But VanderProv for the team, I know, is a place for us all to come together and experience this joy and happiness that's so genuine that we might not get to experience in real life. And then for the campus, it provides that too. You know, it's great to have a show that's free at college particularly, and I think VanderProv always has been and always will be, hopefully, a free show or activity for people to see. And just laughing. No one's gonna come to a show and be like, I hated that because I laughed a lot. Like, no one's gonna walk away feeling disappointed in what their physical responses were.
I'm a very, very physical person in my comedy. A lot of my comedy comes from almost being like bumbling around or making big movements. But then on the flip side of that, I would say another thing that I do really well is coming up with unique characters. So, you know, I've just played all sorts of weird and exotic characters like, I don't know, like Old Man in a Swamp or something like that, or I don't know, a member of the Cheetah Girls was that last show. Just characters that you'd never expect a person like me to want to play, but I play those roles and I have a lot of fun, so I bring unique characters that make unique scenes in a lot of ways.
My comedy style is much more so witty. Like the way to my heart is through a good or terrible pun at any time. There's kind of a rule in improv, like setting up an expectation and then breaking it. And that's, I think, how I get laughs typically, I guess, is having the audience think something's going on, but it's just kind of an assumed thing that's going on because we haven't said it yet, but then saying something different and making the audience backtrack in their minds and saying, whoa, that does work.
We must continue on the nature walk. Paid $800 for this guided tour. We're gonna do it right, pal. Watch out, snakes. Let's go.
I think I typically laugh more at someone like Cam's physical comedy or someone who's more sarcastic because I can't do those things. So I enjoy watching that, but I think that's why we all bring different good things to the team.
We got the ball!
We ain't gonna eat some.
Oh no, what are you gonna tell me? Why?
You don't have to really prepare anything when you come into the rehearsal space or even when you come into a show, because like I do a lot of theater work, and in theater the kind of like grunge work is memorizing lines, and it takes forever and it's not a lot of fun. And then once you memorize your lines, you get to have all the fun in the world playing the scenes and playing your characters, where VanderProv just basically says, let's cut out all of that memorizing stuff and let's just have fun right from the get-go. And I just think that's the coolest thing in the world, that you just come as you are, make a scene with your friends, and 8 out of 10 times it's funny, and the other 2 times people will laugh at it because it's not funny. And so that's kind of fun.
The word distraction is a word, investigation is a word, your mother's a word.
Favorite part of VanderProv, honestly, is the team. Like the team has become some of my best friends. I now live with girls that I met through VanderProv that I wouldn't have known otherwise. Everyone is different, but we all come together for this one thing, which is comedy and making each other laugh and making each other better at what we do. And yeah, just the people are the best.
I'm the man with the top. No! That's impossible! You weren't wearing a top hat earlier!
My first, like, dose of this type of comedy was called Mad TV. And like that was on Fox 17. It was like a really raunchy version of SNL. I would watch Mad TV and just really, really like it. And it's not exactly the same thing, but it got me into that style of like really weird events or weird things happening, and then you make comedy out of that. And so improv kind of tries and strives to do that. And then I got into SNL a little bit as a kid, and I liked that a lot. And then most of my comedy that I would say, or most of my comedy has then come from watching The Office, which a lot of people like that show, and I think it's a really great show. And there's a certain improv nature to it, and even the main character, Michael Scott, is part of an improv group. And that's where I first actually learned what improv was through this show. And I was like, that seems so fun.
I was walking down the street, and a race car pulls up, and the guy says, "Hey, you're funny. You're the funniest guy I've ever seen." Or, "My name is not Dale Earnhardt." And that was an improv. The real way was that I found a flyer.
So then in high school, there was my director, he did an acting class, and for like a week, we talked about improv and did improv stuff. And I just was like, this is the coolest thing in the world.
My biggest improv role models are, it's so cliche, but it's definitely got to be Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Seeing anyone in comedy, but particularly strong women in comedy, breaking down a barrier of, one of them has said, like, Amy Poehler says, if a boy says something that isn't funny, you don't have to laugh. And there's something so like set in our minds that if someone who's a decent person says something, we have to go, ha ha ha, and even if it's not funny at all, which is so stupid. And so seeing women that are just like, I'm going to do what I want, and I don't care if not everyone finds it funny because it makes me happy. It brings joy to the people around me. Why wouldn't I produce that effect?
We got some advice for you. We got some advice.
Whenever we do budgeting meetings, or not budgeting, but when we have to do a budget for VanderProv, we have to go in front of the little panel of people and say, this is why we still, belong and should be funded on campus. But the main thing that I think we do really well is that we provide a space for students to relax and be a student body on a whole. Because when you're together and you're laughing together and you're just being friends, you can create a community. And it's hard to say how do you create community, but I think VanderProv helps that. And then on top of that, because we are able to create community and bring people together, then we have a responsibility, a social responsibility on campus to support groups that aren't as well known or as like stage worthy, I guess you could say. VanderProv is very come out on stage, we're the group, we're really cool, look at us kind of thing. And so we take that kind of element of VanderProv and say, we'll also look at Relay for Life, or we also support, It's On Us, and those kind of things. We want to make sure that we're bringing light to things that maybe don't get time on the stage in the same way we do.
My biggest thing is I don't want anyone to come to our show and walk away feeling attacked or hurt or unsafe in any type of way. And I want everyone to leave with a positive experience. And something we pride ourselves on is it's so easy to be funny when you're being offensive or when you're swearing or when you're making dirty jokes or anything sexual. That's not hard. Anyone can do that. I could swear right now and people would be like, oh, that's so witty. And it's not. It's so much more impressive. And we say this at auditions too when we have people come, just be yourself but be appropriate, because that shows 10 times more talent than you getting up here and just doing whatever you want.
Part of it is that we have a reputation to uphold. We have to be, we have to be ambassadors of hope. Ambassadors of Hope's comedy. So that's when you come to our shows. Our shows are family friendly, We have people who bring a lot of young kids, and so by projecting that image and keeping that good image of what VanderProv should be, I think has also helped us get, opportunities outside of the school, because people say, they'd be great for a company party because they're safe enough, they're fun, but they're safe for that kind of atmosphere. So I think that's part of it.
We constantly want to get better. We're constantly, talking about things we can do to improve our individual performances and our overall group dynamics.
Being sensitive of like what they've responded with, because it was also like it added a ton to have a favorite sibling.
The progress we've made as a team, and we've grown, how we used to do shows for 150 people and now we do shows for 500 people, is amazing, but there's also a little bit of pressure there on us individually, I think, and a lot of us have insecurities, but it's amazing how when you get on stage, all of that can be washed away.